All right, today on the bench we have an Emerson electric fan, and this one has some provenance to it that I think is really cool, which we'll look at in a second. First off, okay, so the owner sent this note, and it says the fan runs fine except for a clicking noise that develops after it has been running for a while. So I guess I'm going to freeze myself out because it's cool here. I'll have to let it run for a while. Maybe I'll pull the blade off and see if it still does it. But he says it also needs a grommet at the base, and he would like to keep everything as original as possible. Okay. Well, like I said, it has some provenance. The first thing is it's got a stamped number in it that says 633. So June of 33. Now, this fan looks older than a 1933. It looks like a 20s, but I would assume it's not, or it was maybe 32, that it was purchased, because this provenance here of the date stamped on it in what you can see is military stamping, is even more interesting when you look at the base here, and I hope you can see this. It says here, USVA, United States Veteran Administration, and then over here we got the date 633, or number 633. No, that could be their serial number for this particular item. It may not be June of 33. It may actually be, because it looks like an older fan. Either way, doesn't matter. The provenance is amazing because it's a United States Veteran Administration fan, so it was for the VA office or VA hospital. And that's amazing too, if this thing was in a VA hospital. The number 633, if it's not a date, which I think it would be, I think that is a date code of June 1933. But if it isn't, it would mean that they probably purchased up to 633 of these, but I can't see that. That would be quite a contract for Emerson, I'm sure. They would have been happy as can be. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit more about the fan. Yeah, of course, it's an Emerson. It's a Type 79646, and I hope you can see in there. I don't know that you can. 79646-AP-G, 115 volts, 0.4 amps. So this fan runs at a low current. Made in the United States for alternating current, St. Louis, Missouri. So anyway, he wants to keep it as original as he can. I would like to re-grease this, cause I'm probably going to have to, right, because of the clicking noise. I'm sure once we hear it, we can identify what it is. He says that the cord might need to be replaced. It's got a bad spot there, so yes, I agree with him. It needs to be replaced. It also needs to be replaced here. However, if you look at the head wire, see these old wires, they get deteriorated internally and into the cloth cover. See, you can see some copper showing there. See that? So that is a big no-no. See the copper in there? Big no-no. Actually, I take that back. I should have known that that wasn't exactly copper, but it is still really bad. They used to use the two cloth wires wrapped by another cloth wire. Actually, this is a three cloth wire. It probably has a capacitor. We will check that out. Definitely a 3-wire fan. So it's got 3 head wires. And the wires that they used that were originally covered were metallic colored. You talk about being ahead of your time, right? You can see there the silver is also metallic. See it in there? And so, but still, this is not good. Hear that? Hear that? Hear that cracking? That's the insulation inside. So the head wire really should be replaced. But let's go ahead and turn it on and see what we can do. Of course, we'll straighten this out at some point of the process here, hopefully. Assuming this is the right grid for this fan. Looks like this is aluminum and this is not. So this cage may not be original to this fan, but it is an Emerson cage, so perhaps. Or it could be that this was remade, that it broke and they had, the government, right? They're going to pay somebody to have a new one made. So, maybe even Emerson, right? Because that looks like aluminum to me. That doesn't look like steel. Anyway, let's fire it up. I got it on my current limiting bulb here. So we'll turn it on, put it on high, assuming that's high, and bring it up to about 40 volts. Now, of course, if there's a short, that light will light. So we're at 40 volts, and we're drawing 90 milliamps, which is fine. So that's 0.09, which it says 0.4 is what it's used to running at. So we can bring the voltage up. It should start turning, and there it's starting to turn at 60 volts, you see. So let me bring it up a little bit. And there we go. It's turning at 66 volts, 0.16 amps. Well, that's not bad. So let's bring it up, the voltage up to full voltage, because there's no current draw at all on my light. So, which he said it works, so I'm not afraid to do this faster than I normally would. Okay, so we're at, I'll get it to 115 volts. All right, a little bit high, but that's okay. So that's its operating range right around there. My dial here is very sensitive. Okay, so they're around 114.3. So it's running fine. Like I said, there's a clicking sound. I would not be surprised that as it warms up, it starts hitting. Let me turn it away so we can hear each other. I would not be surprised that it's the new or the replaced aluminum plate here causing the issue with the clicking. You see here, this one is not even touching. So once it's run a while, it's possible that it'll get warm, right? And when they're cooled, motor warm, this appears to be bent. See this one here? It's coming up at this angle, and then it comes up at a different angle. I don't want my finger in the back of the fan there, but you see that. So that appears to be bent. And if this is aluminum, it's TIG welded. Now if you look at it this way, look at this ring here as I come straight. See that? So we got some bends in this case, and that probably was done when they put the case together with the new aluminum backing. So, to get it on the case and to get it nice and tight. See, like this one is bent out and then back in. See that hump? Those are adjustments that were no doubt made to get it on this unit. And you can see again here, this one here coming around. See that? See how that's bent in there? Okay. So far so good, no clicking. Not oscillating, but it's apparently set to the center where it wouldn't oscillate. Let's see if we can get it to oscillate. There it goes. And those are just some papers blowing around back there on my bench. Okay. These here screw in, and you see what happens. They get deteriorated with age and they break. This one didn't break. It's actually in good shape, and it's loose. Usually you can't even unscrew them without busting them because they just shatter. However, this one's in really good shape. Normally you can't buy these. You have to replace them with a modern rubber one. What I would like to do is, if I replace the cord, replace the head wire, and when I take the head wire off, put this down here because it is original and it's in really good shape. As long as I can screw it into the threads down there, it'll do fine for the line cord. And, you know, of course, I'll tighten it up so that it's not loose like it is here. But that would be good because you want it as much in original condition as possible, and put a rubber one there, which you wouldn't see, right? You see this, but you wouldn't see that. So we could switch them. So right now it's running fine. The reason I started the oscillator is because if it is clicking from this, it'll probably do it more at one angle than the other, one position than the other. See if we can get... Aha, well when I grab that, you see what's doing with the shaft. That's normal, because the shaft has got to have some play. And it does. You see there's I'll pull it just a little. You see there's a little bit of space in there, which is good because you don't want it rubbing on the nose of the fan, right? So you see that space in there when I let it go, the shaft. And so when I let it go, there's like a piece of cloth thickness, you know. Now if that is a problem and it starts clicking there, then all we got to do is loosen the fan and pull it out a little bit away from there. The fan has plenty of room front and back, as you can see here. So that's good. Okay, let's get it oscillating again. There, now we're at full oscillation. Let's see if that makes it click any. Yes, I see what's happening there. Notice when it gets, I'll try to follow it. Watch where I was doing that before. See how the armature, let me go around again and follow it. When we get to the end of its swing, see how it bangs back in? And I think it's hitting the nose. And I'll try to shut up now so you can hear it. Right there. And again here. But that's not bad, and if that's from, I don't know, he may not even have had it oscillating. That may not be the clicking he was hearing. Even in the middle of its turn, do you see it how it double pushed in and popped back out? So we need some, yeah, right there. Right there, see it pop in and then pop back out and then continue its turn? That's because this needs to be re-greased here. It's binding up on the gears a little bit and that's what pulls it in. Doesn't do it all the time. Right there, see in the middle of its swing it should be out and it's not. Try to catch it again. Right where it goes into the motor, let's see if it does it. Right there, see it wasn't doing that a little while ago, but now the motor's warming up, the grease is getting loose, so it's doing that. Now if it does it when it's stationary, it would click if it started going in and out. If that's the clicking noise, or what leading to the clicking noise if it gets worse, then what we need to do there is obviously some of the felt washers that control the armature, the amount of armature swing, are bad, and I'm sure they are. And so this should be like 1/8 of an inch play, and you got like about 2/8. But that's not a big deal. It's just when it goes back and hits the motor housing. I don't see any worn paint in there though. So if it is clicking, it's probably more clicking in the back here than in the front. It looks like it's hitting, but I can't tell because there's no worn off paint. You know, if it was rubbing on the front, on the nose, you think it would rub that paint away. And it doesn't appear like that's the case. So let me stop it Okay, that's me. If that's the clicking sound that it's been doing, then yes, it's that right there. Yeah. It's not going to do it now. Let's see, are we on high? Yeah, we're on high. The other issue is, what is it rated? 115? Yeah, let me get it up to 115. Right. So now we're actually at 116.7. I'm not trying, or 117. And we're still fine as far as the current. I'm not trying to overdraw it. I'm just trying to get it to run as on a high that it's normally running at. So if it was plugged into mains, let's see, my mains is about 123. Let's get it up to around 120. Okay, there we go, 123. Now that's my mains power supply voltage. You hear it's running faster at a higher voltage. That's normal. Current's up, but it's still well below. It's 100 millimeters below, milliamps below its rating max, so we're good there. But it doesn't seem to be doing it stationary. Put it back on, oscillate again, see if it does it. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let it run a while and see if it starts making noise. And I'll upload what I have and let the owner tell me if that's the noise he was hearing. But I'm pretty sure that what it needs is, it needs the gearbox redone. It could use a new head wire. I would replace it. It's about to go bad. New cord. I haven't looked at anything else, right? The grill needs to be fixed. I see why he wants to keep it original. Case is in actually good shape. I don't see no really, a little bit of scuffs, but no really bad spots. At least I haven't seen any yet. The motor housing isn't closed all the way. You notice that? It's closed on the top, but not on the bottom. So that's kind of strange. But it's not hurting the armature. Apparently this was serviced at some point, because usually when that's like that, what causes that is you want to get the current down in a safe range, which means that the armature is not rubbing, because if it's rubbing, it's going to make the current go up. So a lot of times metal twists with age, and so that's a trick you do. You leave a little bit more space on the bottom or on one side if it doesn't line up right. It's not a good idea, but sometimes you have to. Depends on the metal case. This one looks fine. I think that could have been tightened up. And I haven't checked the oil level in here or anything, right? We just set it up, so we don't know. It has an oil plug there in the bottom and the front. Probably got a wick there and an oil drop in the top. Yeah, see it there? So you put oil in there, and probably has a wick in the bottom, I'm not sure. It's kind of a strange setup there. But this is turning fine. It could use some grease. This looks like it's been well taken care of. It's got grease in it. It looks like it. Yeah, well, it's not probably old, but it's there. So somebody has serviced it. Yeah, someone has serviced it at some point, because everything's clean. Even the oil port in the back is clean. Does it have the same plug on the bottom? Yeah, it does. So it's got a plug front and back. Probably has an oil wick front and back. I'm not sure. And this is a little bit off center, but it's fine. These are the things that I look at when I'm working on one. You know, here there's no felt, so it's touching in the front, and it's got a big old space here. That's because the felt's missing. Not a big deal there. I don't think it has a capacitor. It looks like it's just a speed coil in there. I'll take the bottom off to check that, but a little bit of scraping there. About the other side. Let's get that out of the way. A little bit of marking there. Oh, that was pretty good. A little bit of dust in there. So when it was worked on, it's been a while. It wasn't recent. Or they just didn't clean in there. You see that screw in there is wobbling a little. See that? It just needs to be snugged up a little bit. Hopefully it can be and it's not wallowed out. That's the armature there. It's made with that. Okay, if it does that while it's running, then it's definitely the armature. If that's the sound that's being heard, it's the armature. Okay. I will be back. We'll continue this video. Thanks for watching. Okay, I took the fan off, and look at all the oil on there. Quite a bit of oil, and a lot of oil here, and it's actually oil with grease. This doesn't need oil here, right? I mean, that don't need to be there actually, right? Because that's where the fan clamps, and you don't want the fan slipping. I mean, you don't want oil there. Oil does not belong there. So that's a part of the problem there, but notice, see how much that moves? And it's way too much. So that needs to be tightened up. But it is lubricated well. So that's the problem. It needs some felt washers in there to take up some of that space. It doesn't look like it was hitting here. There is some buildup of old grease, or maybe that was paint. Somebody might have painted it at some point, because it looks, I don't know, maybe not. But maybe it wasn't used much, because normally that would be worn. There's not any vertical or horizontal play in the shaft. It's nice and centered and nice and tight in that bearing, just front and back, and that's handled by felt washers. So we just need to put some new felt washers in there, which means I have to pull the front plate off to get to that. So that's what's most likely causing the noise. Here you can see where this bend is that I was talking about earlier. This one's fine, this one's fine, this one's fine, this one's fine. Maybe I can straighten that out. I don't know. They might have bent it so that it's tight. That's probably what they did. It was probably loose because this and that are not made for each other. They're two different, not even the same gauge metal, right? I mean, the aluminum is thicker, heavier gauge than the actual steel cage. So, and of course, when we put it back on this way, the way it's supposed to be, it may not jive with how they bend things, and we'll have to adjust them a little. But that's, you know, that it is what it is, right? It's the way it came, so that's what we got to deal with. The other thing I noticed, that somebody must have painted this, because see that plate, how it's sticking up there, and it's sticking up here? It does look like original rivets. I don't know. It looks like somebody had done something here, because I can stick my fingernail under that rivet. This one too. See that? That explains a few things. But anyway, it could explain a few things. Somebody might have taken this plate off and redone this motor, because this plate is not sitting right, and that wouldn't have been factory. That would have been like the front where it's sitting tight. That would have been that way all the way around. Plus this rivet, these two rivets pop loose, but that's not likely. They would have to be drilled out. The back is up, especially on the corner. See, I can get my fingernail under there. That's why I let my fingernails grow, so I can check things and grab things. Other than that, this screw, see that? And that should be tightened, if possible. The one under there too, and they probably just need to be tightened. Yeah, see this one's hand, see that? I can take it out with my hand. It's not even tightened. So somebody's done some things to this, but that's okay. I mean, you know, it's not a matter of the servicing being an issue. That's an issue, and that's what's clicking. And because this is aluminum, hear that ringing? So whatever clicking you hear is even causing more ringing, right? Hear that? It's aluminum. Anyway, we'll go from there. The next thing I guess I can do is check the base. I obviously got to clean this out and get all this grease out of here. This doesn't need grease here. That clamps on. That doesn't get grease. That needs to all be taken out. Probably just worked its way up that shaft, but it worked its way right inside of there because it was all over the outside of the shaft, and it shouldn't be that much grease or oil. But boy, has it been good. I'm not seeing any vertical, horizontal, just in and out. So I think that's all there is. You know, and you got magnetic fields here, right? You got a stator coil field, and then that induces a field in the armature that's out of phase with it, which of course the armature follows the turning magnetic field of the stator because it has a magnetic field, and the north and south of the two magnetic fields always attracting each other, and that's what turns the motor. But the armature is supposed to be in the center. The more centered, the better. But it's supposed to be in the center of the stator, which should be the center of the magnetic field that the stator is creating. And when you got this much play, what happens is, as it's running, that magnetic field could fluctuate and pull the armature out, push it in, pull it out, push it in, pull it out, because it's got too much play. And you should not hear that. What you're hearing there is the back of the armature hitting in the back of this case. It's actually hitting the back of the cast iron here. And that's that noise. And that should not reach that. Shouldn't hit the inside, shouldn't reach the inside, should have a little clearance. Actually, there should be a felt washer at the back there, the back of the gear. You shouldn't hear metal on metal. That's your clicking. Okay, we can fix it. We have the technology. So we will get it going and get it fixed. I just need to check with the owner and see what else he would like me to do, like the head wire. Does he want that done? Or if not, if he doesn't want the head wire replaced because he wants it to stay as original as possible, we could take this out. We could disconnect it, take it out, put a piece of shrink wrap over this, which would protect this, and a piece of black shrink wrap over it, right? And shrink it down so that it protects that. Take this off, put it on the line cord, which would keep this part original. This line cord's not original. We will put a new cloth cord on there with a grounded plug that'll ground to the chassis as long as the motor's not shorted, obviously. We grounded a chassis and make this thing safe, so you could touch any of this while it's running, the cage, the base, the handle, and not get zapped if you're near a water line, because that's a big issue. Of course, that depends on your electric panel being wired correctly. If it's not wired correctly, then oh well, that ain't gonna help. This was scratched here. See where it was scraped there? That was from the cage rubbing on this as it's oscillating, and it bore through the paint there. A little speck of something there, white paint or something. Okay, that's it for part one, and I'm going to condense this down into one video and upload it so the owner can see it and continue on this fan. Thanks for watching.